entrepreneur. So even if I didn't start something, I ain't afraid to finish it. Already been through hell and back, but I'd go back to visit if it was the only way that I could keep living limitless. You're now tuned in to the Living Limitless podcast. So without further ado, here's your host and my dog, Clint Riggin.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Limitless Faith podcast. I am your host, Clint Riggin, and today we have such an incredible guest with us, Mr. Michael Whitehouse. Welcome, my friend.
Hello. Glad to be on here.
How are you doing? You know what's crazy? How we met is through Facebook. When I believe you commented on something of mine, correct?
I commented on something of yours. Yes.
Yeah, and it was something about scripture or the Bible, and then you put this message.
It's about Christian gay marriage.
Yeah, Christian gay marriage, and then you put an article on there, and I was just like, okay, I got to get to know this guy. It was incredible. Well, Michael, I'm glad you're here, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Give me 2 seconds. I just want to make sure that we're live on my side over here. Right. I do not have a producer or an editor. This is just, in front of my computer.
I know what that's like. I do a show every Friday. That's the Power Lunch Live show on StreamYard. So yeah, but I know all about that experience.
Oh, 100%. So, Michael, before we get into things, I want people to know a little bit more about you, a little bit about how you got into what you do now, if you've been always known as the guy who knows a guy, and a little bit of your story.
Yep. Yeah, so I was born, and my mother said, that's the guy who knows a guy, and everyone will call him that. Is definitely not what happened. I became the guy who knows a guy started on that path in 2014, moved to Groton, Connecticut, not knowing anybody. No job, no business, nothing to sell, but love meeting people. And someone said, you should go to the Chamber of Commerce event. I said, all right, there's one happening the night before I move into my apartment. Let's go. So I went, didn't know anybody, didn't have anything to offer except the connections, the other people I met. So I sort of, in retrospect, knowing what I know now, was forced to network well. The biggest mistake most people make is they pitch, right? You go to a networking event, and you're like, I sell insurance. Do you need insurance? And you're like, no, I don't. Back off. I didn't have anything to pitch. All I had to do was help. That's all I could offer. And so I was going to events being like, how can I help you? I don't even know what I need. What do you need? How can I help you? And within 6 months, I was meeting mayors, CEOs, big kahunas and big wheels. And people, a year later, like, you didn't move here a year ago. You've been here at least 10 years, right? Like, no, I moved here a year ago. I knew I had more connections than people who lived there 50 years. I said, this is crazy. I'm following a system. I know what it is. I know how to write it. I'm going to write it down. Wrote it down, published it in a book called The Guy Who Knows a Guy. And then people started calling me the guy who knows a guy. 2020, pandemic. Couldn't sell magazine ads anymore because I didn't have the networking events that I was doing all the prospecting at. And pivoted into online business, coaching, all this stuff we do. And kind of, I came into business through the side door. Most coaches, they come in, they join ICF and they take a program and they get certified. And I didn't do any of that stuff. I came in around the side because I was like, oh, you could do coaching, enough. And I couldn't. Ended up taking a program to learn to be an effective coach. But I never came in to a point where people said, all right, here's the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just like, oh, this is how you do email marketing. Oh, this is how you're on a summit. Well, maybe I'll do it this way. Oh, I can do a podcast. And just it's been a journey of putting things together. And so one of my projects right now is something called the Opportunity Growth Circle, which is a program for people who are putting it together because there's 1,000 parts that go into a business. And you don't know what you don't know. And everyone's selling their amazing solution. Give me $10,000 and I'll make you $1 million through publicity, through Facebook ads, through, one narrow slice of business. But it takes all your budget and all your time. And that doesn't work. So I'm building something which is affordable, accessible, and gives them the foundation so that when they then go on to the next thing, They know what they need. They know where to spend the $5,000 or the $10,000 or whatever. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Dude, that's incredible. Let's break that down. So you came into this, right, not knowing how to network, but you networked effectively.
Yeah, when I first, I guess I had a couple of clues. I read a couple books on it and had some concepts, but I certainly didn't have any. When you go to a networking event, you should do this.
Yeah, because when you go to a networking event nowadays, what happens is, and I don't know if this is what happens with you, but you go to a networking event and people say, "Hey, I got this product. Hey, I want to know you so I can sell to you so you can be my client." And you can immediately feel that when you meet somebody.
That's not networking. That's not even good sales.
Exactly.
Like there is a technique to do that correct. That's how I sold the magazine ads. Doing that the right way, not being like, I got a magazine, who wants to buy ads? But you always have to start by looking for how to deliver value and who you can help. Now, some of the people you can help will pay you for it.
Right.
And they want the help, and then they're going to say, what's it going to cost for the help? And you tell them, and they say, that sounds good, let's do it. But if you start with, buy my stuff, they start with, bug off. There's the door. Please use it. So, right. But if you start with like, what are you trying to do? What are your goals? What are you here trying? What are you trying to achieve? How can I help you? And with the magazine, it was a community magazine that went to affluent households. So I meet someone who owns a general contractor, and I can kind of steer the conversation. So they'll say what I need them to say, but I'll be like, how are things going? What are you trying to do? Oh, we're trying to find, possibly more clients, people looking at Nexus communities. Oh yeah. How are you connecting to local homeowners now? Well, we're having a little trouble with that, actually. Really? Would it be helpful if there was a magazine that went to homeowners that you could be the expert in that magazine? Oh, that would be pretty helpful. Would you like to know about how to be that expert? Yeah. Okay. You want to book a call? Yes, I would. Because they stated a problem, and then I stated a solution to the problem. And, they can tell where it's going, that this isn't like, surprise, I'm selling something.
Right.
As the conversation progresses, they can sense like, I bet he has something to sell me, but they're open to it because, if you have sciatica and I'm a chiropractor and we're talking and I'm asking, so what exercise have you done for that? Or what treatments have you done? And what have you tried? And then I get to, because there's a technique that I use. Have you tried that? No. Would you be open to trying it? Well, yeah, because my back hurts and you say you can fix it. Tell me what it costs afterwards. Just do it, because you're solving the problem first. You're not selling something first.
So good. I think everybody should hear that because you ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And you care about the person like that. That's what I truly started to realize is you truly cared. You're not trying to sell somebody. You say, what are the things that you're having problems with right now? Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. If you had this, do you think that problem would still be there? Oh, it wouldn't. Well, hey, I got this product. It's funny. I do that exact thing that might be able to help you. And if you don't buy it, at least you got some information to know maybe down the road when you're ready, and then for me, I was never a pushy salesman. I was never somebody who was like, you need my fitness coaching package. Because if you don't buy it, you're never going to be in shape. I was never that person.
Yeah.
I was the person to say, hey, listen, if you can afford it, amazing. Hey, we have a payment plan that works as well. Hey, Clint, I can't do it right now. Perfectly fine. Hey, here's a couple of resources. Try this out. When you're ready, come back my way. Now, there is another side of that where there is people that will teach you need to go for the kill. And if you don't get the kill, you did it wrong. I don't think that's right.
Yeah. And especially if you're selling something relationship-based. Like the magazine is a 36-month contract. I'm going to have to deal with these people for 3 years. It's got to be good. But the other thing, looking at the background in the image here, I think one place this also applies when you're selling God, when you're selling religion. That same principle of anything has to solve a problem. And that's where I see a lot of people get it wrong, is they start from this like, I love Jesus. Do you love Jesus? Who's Jesus? What are you talking about? Yeah. Are you saved? Like a coupon? Or are we talking like a hockey puck? Like what kind of saved are we talking? Did you hit Control S? So, people don't understand the language, but it's a solution in search of a problem.
Mhm.
And so, it's about thinking about what is the problem someone has. Like I know with your work, you work with people who are in recovery, and religion is a solution to the problem. If somebody has addiction, they need something stronger than the vice to be addicted to. And God solves that problem. But for a lot of people, they're like, I don't think I have a problem that you can help with. So, or for some people, organized religion has been the problem. So like that's a bigger problem than anything else they got in their life. So trying to present, so whether you're selling magazine ads or mastermind or health coaching or the Bible, it's about what problem does someone have and how does the thing you have solve it. And that's what Jesus teaches. He says, start by loving people. Start by seeing how you can help them, and how you can solve their problems, and that's how you're going to reach them. Showing that love, not by being like, I can quote more Bible verses than you. Good for you, buddy. That's great. But if you start by saying, how can I help you? How can I serve you? What can I do for you? That's when they're receptive to it. And then when you do make an offer, whether it's a temporal financial offer or a religious offer, then they're receptive to like, okay, you're doing this for my benefit. You're not doing it for your own benefit. Tell me more.
Right. I'm so glad you brought that up because I was just watching a movie and it's Jesus Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of it? Where the pastor, the guy who looks like Jesus comes in, and then he's like, my people. And he's like, your people. Your people are doing drugs. Your people are doing all these things. What do you mean, my people? And they just talked about how he's literally like, they're just sheep that don't have their shepherd and they're lost.
Yeah.
But they're falling into a lie. And that's what they believe is the truth. But what we see, and I'm so grateful that you brought this up, we push people away most of the times as Christians because they don't act in accordance of how we want them to act. You must do this to be with us. You must abide by this. Well, listen, it might take a little bit of time. We have to have patience with people. I can tell you right now, when I was doing drugs and you told me and you were a believer and you came to me and said, hey, here's Jesus, I would have been like, yeah, here's blow. I'm going to do that. I wasn't at the point where I could accept that. So I believe that patience is one of the ultimate things that we need to do as Christians, as followers of Jesus, et cetera. But it also works in business as well, is loving on people, seeing them for who they are and meeting them where they are. Yeah. Like if you have something here, but you're not ready, then okay, that's fine. Where can I help you right now?
Yep.
Like where is it? Where is the issue? And I love that's what you do best, because you find out where are they right now, and then how can I help you in this exact place? So leading into this, let's talk about JV Connect. Is that's coming up, right? That's coming
JV
up
Connect is September 10th and 11th.
Okay, September 10th and 11th. So Michael Whitehouse, he puts on these incredible virtual summits. And guys, if you've ever been to a mastermind or a conference, I want you to think about that literally in your living room. So you could be behind this computer screen, and then you could come into this room and it's like you just walked in, and then people are screaming and they're shouting. They're like, Michael. No, I'm just kidding. But they are at a point. Everybody is connecting. Everybody's getting to know each other. Breakout rooms, like how you did it was amazing. I think it was 7 hours, the last one I was in.
Were you at, was it with the Kingdompreneur Summits that you were at?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then being able, go ahead.
Yes, there's two different types of events I run. There's the Summit Masterminds, and then there's JV Connect, which is a networking connection event. So the Summit Masterminds, the structure is it's 6 hours, and every speaker speaks for 15 minutes, and then there's 15-minute interactive sessions, which could be a breakout session. Sometimes it's Q&A. Sometimes it's a hot seat. Hot seats are great because any member of the audience has to raise their hand and say, hey, I've got this challenge. Could I get all the speakers to coach me on it for free? And the speakers say, yes, we'd love to. And it's amazing. It's, $2,000 of coaching for free for showing up at an event. It's amazing. But it's about what makes it different from most other events. And most speaker events is just speaker, and you're just listening to them talk. And eventually you're like, all right, yeah. And they give you breaks, but the breaks are to kind of rejuvenate yourself. I've discovered when you have people interact, that's a much more rejuvenating break. We actually don't have breaks in our 6-hour events. I mean, you can take a break at any time. At any point, you can turn off your camera and go make a sandwich. I'm not going to be like, where were you at 3:00? But the breaks are the breakouts. When you go into a breakout room and there's 4 people there and you're talking to them and you're supporting each other and you're sharing ideas, that's what wakes people back up and gets them going again. Zoom fatigue is because you spend 6 hours staring at a screen and people talk at you with their canned speeches that are 45 minutes long. So with 15-minute speeches, you got to keep it punchy. You got to get to the point, get on, get out. And then there's going to be a breakout. There's going to be a hot seat. There's something to engage people. And then JV Connect takes that a step further. There's no speakers. It's all connections. It's all 23-minute breakout rooms with 15 people with very short introductions. It's actually an 8-second introduction that we do. And so 3 minutes in, everyone's introduced, and now you're having a conversation. And, this breakout's about help each other find stages. This breakout's what's working in business right now. This breakout's, whatever. And so you get to have these conversations. And what's interesting is because I attract people who are givers, people who want to support each other, they want to uplift each other. Yeah. What I found happened at the second JV Connect was organically coaching was happening in the rooms. So I'd send people in a breakout and it would be, find ways to support each other's events or launches or promote each other, whatever. And I'd be listening in on the breakouts and I'm watching a coaching session. Someone's, doing something. Someone's like, oh, well, what are you doing? What have you tried so far? Oh, interesting. Have you tried this? This might be a good idea. Someone else may, you could also try this idea. Oh, yeah. And like this hot seat just breaks out right there in the middle. Like, everyone's supposed to be there networking and finding ways to help themselves. And they can't help but help each other because it's the right kind of people. I end up formalizing that into the schedule to actually have hot seat sessions where, because, are the right people in the right room with you? Who knows? In the hot seat, you get up in the main room and say, hey, my challenge is, how do I convert people from, I go to networking events, but I can never sell anyone. How do I do that without being a jerk? Anyone who can help goes into their breakout room with them and, helps them. But it's JV Connect is all about connections. There's no speeches, no big pitches, none of that. It's just a chance for people to connect and get to know each other. And build those connections. And the summits are more about sharing ideas and learning, but still making those connections. That's how we learn. We don't learn by just saying, think about school, sitting for 6 hours as a teacher stands in front of you writing on the chalkboard. It's crazy because I've gone to trainings that are 90 minutes long and learned tremendous amounts. My daughter's in school 6 hours a day, 180 days a year. And I'm thinking, based on what I learned in 2 hours, I feel like I should have learned all the knowledge of mankind in 180 days times 12 years. But it's because of the way it's done, because it's just like, take knowledge into your brain, transmit knowledge to your brain. It bounces off if you're not engaged in part of it.
Wow. That's incredible. You said 23 breakout rooms?
23-minute breakout rooms.
23-minute breakout rooms? And there's
I think we do about 9 a day.
9 a day.
11 to 15 people.
11 to 15 people. So you have the amount of knowledge in that room to be able to solve any problem that you would need to be solved. And people are not there to just get what they want. They want to give. Yep. They want to help other people.
Yeah. And that's one of the key things is we don't. So what a lot of network events do is if you have 10 people and it's 20 minutes, everyone gets 2 minutes. And so what happens? Everyone talks for 2 minutes. No one listens to each other because if you haven't gone yet, you're thinking about what you're going to say. And if you have gone, you're wondering why no one responded. So we don't do that. We actually let the rooms run themselves. So anyone can step up and be like, I'm going to leave this room. And amazingly, that works almost every time with great reliability. Like you'd think that just sort of letting it happen itself wouldn't, but the right person feels called. They grab the mic and they're like, I'm going to leave this room. So, but not everyone needs to speak in every room,
right?
Because your job there is to make connections. You're not going to make a sale in that room. You're going to make a connection that leads to a calendar link being exchanged and a call. And on the call is where the value is going to happen, generally.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you don't need to say a word. If you're an introvert and you're shy and you're like, oh, I don't like introducing myself, you could just like leave your camera off and pass and never introduce yourself and just listen to everyone else. And the ones that interest you, you just go in the chat and you're like, hey, here's my calendar link. Could we get on a call? Versus, someone like me, I'm going to be like, what's up, everybody? How you doing? I'm going to leave this room. Let's go. But still, everyone gets the value at their level. So people who want to talk can talk more. People are like, I'd rather just like, hi, I'm Clint. I'm from Texas. I'm a pastor. Thanks. You can just introduce yourself and go quiet and just listen and observe. And so it really works well so everyone can lean to their strengths.
That's Michael, this is incredible. I think you're the only person that I know that does these summits like this.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I wish someone would copy me. I want to speak on their stage.
You want somebody to copy you?
Yeah, I would love people to copy me because then I could speak on their stage because, I don't get to speak on my own stage. I'm the MC and the host. I just want to
Let's talk about that.
That'd be great.
I want to talk about this speaking, right? So you're able to pay a small fee to become a speaker, right? On your stage. Oh, no fee.
Yep, you have to promote. But the exchange is you promote, which is what builds our audience. But that's the only cost is promote and bring your people with you. And
oh my God, this is better than anything that I know of, because all the other ones I get these forms sent over to me all the time. Like, hey, do you want to be a speaker at my event? All you got to pay is $750, and you could be a speaker to my community. And listen, I understand pay to play. I've been in this game for quite a long time. It's just that what that does is for me to speak somewhere and pay, you have to have a return. You have to have an ROI, and you have to know you're getting an ROI. Now, if it's for something of a good cause or something like that, et cetera. But what you're doing is you're saying, hey, you want to speak, you want to be able to have the platform. All I need you to do is promote, bring people. And then also that could be their clients, that could be their avatar, that could be whatever it might be, because when they advertise to their community or their social media, it's people that already watch them. So now they get the proximity to them in front of them. It's a win-win for all sides.
Yeah. So it could be the first time that their audience is seeing them on Zoom. Yeah, that's the thing. Some people think about it like I'm sharing my audience. Not necessarily. Your audience could see you for the first time on the summit. You invite them to. You never know. But you actually said a really important thing there. If you pay, you need to get ROI. So if you pay now, and it's funny when you said $750 to speak, and I'm like, yeah, you're only paying $100 per person in the audience, because I've seen some of these events, and like very not often is it worth the amount you pay to get on these stages in terms of the audience. The audience you're in front of. Oh, we have 10,000 registrations. How many people in the room? Well, 12, but 10,000 registered. So we're doing great because 10,000 people are going through our sales funnel. 14 are showing up in the Zoom room for you to talk to, but don't worry because we already have your money, so we're fine. But so you need to get an ROI, which means when you say, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to structure my talk? What am I going to do? You're thinking, what's going to get me the ROI? So I need to make sure that I got my offer dialed in. I got to make sure that I'm building from the moment I start to the moment I end, getting people down the path so they're going to book the call or get the PDF or buy the tripwire or whatever. Plus, if you paid, and then I say, now you need to promote, you're like, I already paid once. Now I got to promote. That's like paying twice. So to my mind, as an organizer, if I charge people, I get a worse talk and less promotion. Versus, and I've sometimes thought about, if I just charged $100 to every person, I've had 500 stage speakers, as in some speakers have been there multiple times. But there have been over 500 stage slots that I've created. If I charged $100 each of them, that would be $50,000 that I do not have because I didn't charge for. I'm sometimes like, I would like $50,000. That would be cool. But the event would not be as good. And apparently, I never thought of myself as an artist, but apparently I am for events because I'm like, yeah, I know it makes less money, but the event is better, and that's what matters. So by not charging, you feel the need, people don't like to be given something for free. So if I give you a stage spot, you're like, well, how can I repay you? Promote? All right, I better do that. I got to pay for my seat here. So you're going to promote. And when you think about the talk, you're like, if I get results, that's great. If I don't, it didn't cost me anything. And my audience is here. Some of these are my people. I got to bring my good stuff and not just pitch them something and not just focus on conversions, but focus on value delivery. Otherwise, my audience and everyone else's audience is going to see it. So plus, if you deliver good value and at the end say, if you want to learn more, book a call with me. I've seen people convert 65% of the room to phone calls or to I'd probably Zoom calls. But, now 65% is 13 out of 20. It's not, 130 out of 200. But still, we've had events where we've got 20 to 50 people, depending on the event. I've had speakers who told me they got 13 out of 20 people booking calls with them. Because it's a 15-minute block. You can't share everything you know.
Right.
We're 26 minutes in. That's 10 minutes longer than the speaking blocks that we have at the summits. So you do a good 15-minute organized, you drop some gold nuggets on them, and you give them some good ideas, and you hint that there's more. And you're like, if you want to know more, let's get on a call, 30 minutes, twice as long as my talk. People are like, of course I'm going to do that. That's great. Then you deliver more value, and of course, then you can make an offer at that point.
Michael, you're a genius.
Yeah.
You're an absolute genius. So I'm just going to put this in perspective for people who's listening, who are going to listen to this. So if you convert those 13 people, and you sell $1,000 program, okay, and if you convert 50% of them, let's just say you convert 7 or 6 of them, whatever it might be, you just made $5,000 to $6,000, okay, and off of speaking for free off something you love to provide value to people because you were a good person. Like, that's what I think people have to understand. When you provide the value, when you truly care, when you don't have the heart of, hey, I'm just looking to take all your money. Because I've been there where I was like, listen, I'm not talking to you unless you give me some money. Like, that's simple as that. And got me to a place where I had so much ego and so much fulfilled inside of me that I thought I was the best of the best and nobody could touch me. And then God was like, not today, son. We're gonna let you rest for a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna show you who I am so you can depend on me. And that's what I had to learn through that process. Beautiful. So masterminds and JV Connect. Yeah, those are. Go ahead.
One thing I want to share about that is being a great networker teaches humility. Now, part of it is having nothing else and just being a networker. But people are like, oh, you're such a great networker. I was like, I'd be nothing without my network. So at no point could I be like, yes, I am the greatest networker in the world. Because if I become an arrogant jerk, then my network goes away. They're like, I don't know. I just met him at an event. I don't really know him. So my power as a networker is only on those relationships. And so I can never claim like it is my network. It is the network that I have assembled. And so even, when I run my Power Lunch Live, she'll be like, it's a great show. I'm like, I just host it. The universe creates it. God creates this show. I just bring it together. You guys made it great. If this is a solo show, no one will be watching. When I put together a summit, I'm like, I just create the vessel. I create the container. Without the speakers, it's nothing. Without the audience, it's nothing. I just created a vessel to put that into. And so, I could be like, I create the best summits. I mean, I do. But I don't do it by myself. I can't do it by myself. I do it because I create a vessel in which good people can shine and show their value and share their gifts.
This is how I see it. So God gave you this vision. He gave you this thought. You put it into action. You're the vessel to receive what God has given you.
Yep.
Now you have created it. God's children have come to it. Now we have all people coming together, and you give no credit to yourself. You give credit to everybody else. See, that's what it's truly about, because that's you realize that this would never happen without the people around you. Yep. And that's the most beautiful part about it.
Yep. And so someone asked about getting on the summit. So getting on the summits is actually, getting on a summit once is really easy. Getting on a summit twice is where you got to work. So
Ooh.
if you go to summits.fun, summits.fun, did I spell it right? Summits.fun. And you will see all the summits that open applications, except for the ones I forgot to put up there, but the video's in. Anyway, go to summits.fun, find one that fits with you, and you click apply now. You fill out the application. And if the application looks relevant, because I do get some people where they're like, it's for the, I don't know, the health summit, and they talk about money or something. But if your summit is relevant and seems interesting, then I will put you on the stage one time. And then it's up to you to promote the event, bring in people, deliver a good talk, make me not embarrassed to have you on my stage. And if you do, then I will say, you should apply again. And then you apply again, and then you come back onto the stage again. So that's the process.
You do a little research before you bring them on stage.
I do less than you'd think.
Okay.
Because that's the great thing about Fit. So if it was a 45-minute block or a 60-minute block, or if I ran one summit a year, then I'd have to go do all this work. And it would take hours and hours, research, watch their videos, and talk to them, whatnot. I don't do pre-application interviews either, because, talking to you might be one way. Speaking, you might be another way. So
I learned that.
Yeah,
I learned that big time. When I spoke in front of you, I learned that I'm a talker, not a speaker.
Yeah.
I'm a great talker, but guys, you put me on a stage, and this is for anybody. Like I just realized, like, just such a big light bulb moment for me.
Yep.
I'm not a good speaker.
Yeah. So that's the thing is my summits have 10 speakers and they're 15 minutes each. So if you're the worst speaker in the world, you'll still be gone in 15 minutes, and I'll know. And because the environment is such an our environment and not my environment, it's my stage, and you're bad, I look bad. It's our environment, all of us together. And so the few times, and it's funny, I've had over 200 speakers across my state. I think 240 now, 250. I have had 2 that I've said that one doesn't come back. One because he spoke for 30 minutes, which is 15 minutes over his time, and failed to teach anything. It was that webinar style where you hint and tease, but never actually teach, and they're just trying to get them to the next step.
Yep.
And one who is just, I don't think she knew what she was talking about. I certainly didn't know what she was talking about. But with both of these, I had people in the private chat who weren't like, what the heck's wrong with you? Why'd you let this guy on your stage? But was more like, I feel bad for you that this guy is abusing your stage like this. And I don't want to be the one who's like, hey, get off my stage, because then I look bad. I'm just going to let them, if they run over time, I'm going to be like, all right, play the music, you're done. But I'm just going to let them go and then not invite them back. And what's interesting, when that happens, the community, they're all looking about like, it's going to be done soon, right? Okay, good. Whew, done. Let's go. But it's our event. And once that person's done, then it kind of folds back in. I've never had 2 bad speakers on the same event, because I've only had, I guess, 3 bad ones. I had one keynote speaker who went way over time, but 3.
Can you take them off stage though? Can you take them? Hey, listen, 15 minutes are off. Boop.
Yeah, that's how it's like. How do you kind of like?
Yeah. It'd be cool if you could like move it, like slowly move you off the screen. Like, hey, you're getting off time.
Oh, there's a couple of tricks, like adding yourself to the spotlight, and when they see that they're not the only one on the screen, they're like, oh, because that's a trick with live speaking for a host, is that often the host is like sitting in the back while the speaker's speaking, and so as they get to like 1 minute left, the host stands up and in the back, and at 30 seconds left, they're at the edge of the audience, and at 0, when they're out, they're at the edge of the stage, and once you're 30 seconds over, they're standing at the stage stairs. And once you're a minute over, they're on the stage next to you. And like the host just gets closer and closer and closer as you run out of time. And that's kind of like your cue to wrap up. So yeah, there's a few ways to do it, but it rarely, as I said, I've done 45 summits. I've had 3 bad speakers in 45 summits. So it works really well to audition people on stage. And I actually first heard this concept from Kimberly Crow, who also runs a lot of summits. And she's like, yeah, I don't need to waste a lot of time vetting everyone. I audition them on stage. Most people know their limits and know what they should do. So generally, if somebody is coherent enough that their application makes sense, and like the things they're going to talk about, the things I want to hear about, and they've got a good bio and headshot and whatnot, that tells me they'll probably be decent 15 minutes. They will not ruin my event in 15 minutes. And yeah, and I've certainly had some people on stage who are meh. They weren't great. They weren't terrible. They weren't great. I've been far more often pleasantly surprised than unpleasantly surprised. I've had people on my stage. Toby Staples, example, she'd never spoken before. Her first speaking gig was on the Breakthrough Summit in January. She has no email list and had never spoken before. I'm running a summit with her in November called the Boot in the Ass Summit because she was in a hot seat situation. She was hot seating. She was coaching in a hot seat. And I'm like, I love her energy and her forcefulness, but it's this very, boot in the butt style of like, I'm going to give you some feedback and it's going to be harsh but loving. It's a heart-centered boot in the ass. So, and I was like, I want a whole summit around that concept of just like, we're not going to sugarcoat it. Tough love. We're saying this because we love you, but we're going to say it hard. Let's go. So from January, she'd never spoken before to November, me saying, I want to co-host an event with you. And she was one of the top promoters ever without an email list. I'm doing an event in October. It's the Epic Legendary Summit. So I'm inviting the best promoters, the people who have brought the most of the audience in. She made the cut of the top 10 best promoters with no email list because she just has passion and fire. She just went to everyone she knows, like, you got to come to this event. 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 And then she got on the stage and she brought it. And many other events would be like, no email list? No. No speaking experience? No. No formal credentials? No. I mean, her credentials are she's escaped death 7 times and has, dealt with things that neither of us could imagine and come thriving through them and then teaches people how. But all the formal credentials aren't there. No speaker reel, no YouTube channel, no.
Let's talk about that real quick because people think that you need these credentials, this certification. You need something to show that you can actually step into this like phase of your life, I guess you could say. Almost as though they won't do it unless they have this piece, or I have this trophy to show, or I have this certificate. I'm going to be the first one to tell you, guys, you can get on camera and just be you, and you could bring people to your community because people love authenticity. Like you said, like she doesn't have any speaking experience, but what she was is she was real. She probably spoke from the heart. She probably spoke like you were there, like you felt it, like you almost felt like you were in the position she used to be, but then she taught you how she got out of it. Yeah. And during that, when you can have an audience feel like they were with you, oh man, that's what it's all about. Ed Milet, incredible speaker who does that. When he is on stage, you can feel like you were there when his dad would literally walk up to the door. The key is shaking. He doesn't know what he's going to get. Like when his dad's the alcoholic, it's crazy. Like you can feel the whole story. Yeah. So I just want people to understand is like, you don't need any of these things. You just need purpose. You need passion, and you need a standard. Like you need to find what Ben Newman likes to say is it's called the burn. Like, what is it that you wake up every single day doing because it fires you up?
Yeah. And that's it. When we talk about credentials, when somebody's leading with their credentials, they're pushing themselves backwards from the starting line to me. Yep. So when someone's like, I have a PhD in this and I got this credential and I spoke on this stage and I've been here and I've been there, I'd be like, all right, well, now you're down to a -3. Now you can start building. Because, for what now, if they're a scientist, if they're a lawyer, if they're, there's certain fields in which those credentials make a difference. But if you're a speaker, coach, a business consultant, something like that, I don't care how much school you've done. I don't care who you've paid to give you a piece of paper, which is fundamentally what a certificate is. I care what you can actually do. And that's part of why I can't think of any better way to figure out who should be on my stage than put people on my stage and then decide if I want them back. Great. Because I don't care if you went to Speaker Trainer Academy or you went to, you went to some like speaker training in Tibet or Nepal on top of Mount Everest with some guru, or none of that matters if you can't deliver a good message. And sometimes I have found that a lot of the newer speakers give a better talk than the more experienced or trained, because most of the coaching programs for speakers, if you pay someone $5,000 to teach you to be a better speaker, you're not paying them so you can tell a better story and engage an audience better. You're paying them so you can get paid. So they're going to teach you how to craft your message, how to build your personal brand, how to, have a call to action, how to walk people down this and develop needs and convert them. And a high converting speaker is not necessarily a good speaker. Now, the best speakers are good speakers and high converting speakers. Majid Magarabon, for example, a friend of mine, phenomenal speaker, phenomenal converting speaker. He tells an amazing story. You're coming along with him. You're really engaged. And then he's like, next step, $5,000. And you're like, okay, let's go. Let's go. But most speakers, I found, if they have the training, all they know is how to channel people into the sales funnel. And that means that they've filed off the passion and they've lost the enthusiasm and the stuff that makes it great. Whereas the people who are like, I got no training, I got no email list, I got 20 friends, I'm going to make sure they all come, and that's what I got. They're going to get on stage, they're just going to tell a story.
Yeah.
Or they're going to share some passion, or they're going to be like, I got 3 things that have worked really well for me on using AI in the last 3 months. I'm going to share with them right now. I'm going to tell you how to do it. They don't know how to hold back. They don't know how to tease. They don't know how to do all that stuff that makes them sell better but teach worse. So I find our events are way better. Plus, they don't have the ego. Some of these speakers, they got 40,000 person email lists. They have a team that manages it. So their 40,000 person email list doesn't get an email, or gets one copy and pasted swipe copy email that's generic. And so, they're being out promoted by everyone else. Mm-hmm. And then they show up at the wrong time because their assistant put the wrong time zone on their calendar. They didn't show up to the speaker meeting. They didn't read any of the update emails. They're kind of phoning it. I had one speaker who was, a pretty big deal, pretty big list. I met with him. When I met with him, he seemed great. I was like, I can't wait to work with you, get it on the stage in our community, whatever. And then I'm working with the assistant from then on. And his assistant actually said, oh, yeah, he'll support you by speaking at the event. And I'm like, you support the event by promoting the event, and I support you by putting you on the stage in front of the audience. So when someone's like, when someone thinks it's such a big deal that merely my voice being added to your event is a gift enough. There's some people I feel that way about, but that's something for me to say to them, not for them to say to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've met those people, those kind of people where they're like, do you know who I am? I'd be like, no, who are you? Are you Jesus? I know Jesus. But no, Karen, I don't know who you are. There's 8.75 billion people in this world, but I would love to get to know you if you want to. And then they'll be like, oh, no, I require this and that and that. But okay, that's perfectly fine. And you just let those people do their thing. There's a lot of people that once they get to a certain level, they need a certain level of, how do you even say this? Lifestyle, way they're taught, way they're brought around.
Yeah.
Open the door for me. Here's the red carpet, that kind of thing. And a lot of people get used to that. What I've realized is the best, I'm going to give you an example. If you guys know, do you know what Jesse Itzler is?
No.
Jesse Itzler is one of the best motivational speakers. Mm-hmm. He's a billionaire. He's his wife is she made Spanx. Okay. And he is the most humble person, dude. This guy just walks in shorts, got a shirt on, but hey, what's up, guys? I'm about to rock your world right now. Mm-hmm. And he'll just drop some dimes. Yep. And he'll just drop some great information. And he always respectfully says, hey, I just want to thank this organization for bringing me here. Man, I appreciate you guys. Honored to be here. Just having a very humble experience. But this dude can buy 45 houses with his credit card. It's literally those type of people, I believe, the humble, understanding, because they realize where they were before.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't let the fame get to them.
Yeah. Well, and to some degree, I know for some it's a matter of not letting it consume their lives, and so like they're busy, so it's hard to get access to them because they're just so busy and they don't want to work 90 hours a week and they want to have a quality of life. And this, I think with this particular speaker, I think he himself was humble, but his gatekeeper assistant was not. And I don't know if it was a matter of he's like, I work for a very big deal, or that's just the tone he's supposed to have, or that's just the or what. But he didn't represent him well. And you know, because some like one of my clients I work with, Penelope Jane Smith. She is in my opinion, the best financial literacy educator in the world. And her greatest ambition is to have time, not ambition, she's well achieved it, but is to have time with her kids. She wants to be able to spend time with her sons and have time with her family. So she works about 30 hours a week running a $2 million company. And her schedule is built around being able to spend time with those kids and to do the things that are important for her. So it could be, so you can't just get on her calendar. But she's also brought a team around her that take care of stuff for her. So, my job, I go out and make connections, and then she has someone else who manages her partnership. So I hand people off to her. And, but with that, her desire is to serve. I mean, she teaches financial freedom. She teaches how to have enough money you don't need to work anymore. So she doesn't need to work anymore. She could just stop. She's not doing it for the money. She's doing it for the impact. She has a mission to the world. And as she gets bigger, more people want her time and she has to guard it better. But she's also living that example. If she was working 90 hours a week and exhausted, and then saying, you could be financially free. I'm exhausted because I work 90 hours a week, but you could be free. That doesn't make sense. When you have a motivational speaker who's an arrogant jerk, and they're like, gratitude and ambition and, make the world better and blah, blah, blah. And then they're yelling at people and I want this and this isn't good enough and whatever. Like, they need to do the work first before they could teach others. It's funny, like when you said, I know Jesus, I realized, like, if you ran into Jesus, you probably wouldn't realize who it was for 12 hours because, he'd come by, he'd be like, I don't have a place to stay. Could you give me a place to stay? And he'd be like, sure. What's your name? Just call me Jay. And then he comes into your house and he washes your dishes and he washes your clothes for you. And it's like, I mowed the lawn. I noticed it needed something. He'd be like, so who are you? Oh, I'm Jesus.
You feel like, and that's exactly what Jesus would do. He would come in and help you and help you do all the things and not even say a word and just be like, you'll know me. Yep. You know me, but I mean, we'll see if you recognize me.
Yep.
That's too funny.
Yep,
no, you're 100%
coming in as a servant, coming in to give and not to take. And I think part of it's also appreciate. I mean, I am blessed by most of my life not having money. I did not pay income tax until I was 27 because if you make under the standard deduction, you don't have to file income tax. So I didn't make, I think I didn't make over $10,000 in a year until I was 27 because I left college and opened a game store, board games and role-playing games and such. Wonderful thing, built a community, wildly successful except for never making money. But I never developed a taste for expensive things. So I'm not into fancy cars and fancy food and clothes and watches and whatever. Growing up, we never skipped meals or anything, but I never had the fancier toys and video games and whatnot. So later, 20 years later, when I'm like, ooh, I can download every video game I could never get. This is amazing. I feel like I'm rich. I buy a 10-year-old computer because a 10-year-old state-of-the-art refurbished computer is good enough for anything we're doing if it's not advanced graphics editing and high-end gaming. I have a $250 computer. I love it. It does everything I want. I have an 8-year-old Honda Civic. Best car in the world for me. Cheap to maintain, reliable, as fast as I need it to be, pretty comfortable. I don't need a $80,000 Mercedes or something. You know what the oil changes in those things cost? So, so I appreciate all these simple things. I don't need a $100 dinner. Get me one of those nice grilled cheese grilled cheese burritos from Taco Bell. Yeah, that is quality food.
Burritos.
I say to the health guy,
God.
but but that's the thing is that I can find enjoyment in these simple things, or just hanging out with people,
Right.
Drinking a beer around a fire. I don't need a resort to go to a resort down in some island. I don't know what any of them are called because I never go to them. Down on some fancy island, I'm happy to go play Terraforming Mars down the street at a friend's house, and that is as nice a night as I need because I appreciate those things. So if you never develop that taste, that expectation of like, I deserve the finest things in life. I mean, I do deserve the finest things in life. Company of good friends, good food, being surrounded by a good community, intellectual stimulation. I have the finest things in life. They're already here.
Man, I love that you're speaking about this because I think how we look at success, my mom asked me this question and she said, Clint, what is success to you? And I was like, whoa, this was recently. This was like 6 months ago. And this is when I was going to seminary school, trying to start Limitless Faith Kingdom Builders, doing all these different things. Like I was back in the same exact process that I was before about balancing all these different plates. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I got this going on. She's like, Clint, are you ever going to learn? And I said, what do you mean, Mom? She's like, do you remember what happened to you when you tried to do this before? And I was like, yeah, but it's different. And when I said that, I knew that I messed up. And she said, Clint, you know what success is to me? I said, what, Mom? She said, success is waking up every single day at peace with your Father, being able to go and make an impact. We have enough money to survive. We don't have a bunch of nice things, but we have what we need. And it's the memories and the community of people that we have around us. And I was like, wow. I was like, Mom, that's true success. Because what we see is we don't look for the worldly success anymore, right? We know that none of this is going with us. Mm-hmm. Like, it's amazing that you have a mansion and a Lamborghini and you have all these nice cars. That's incredible. And if you love it, incredible. But just know that it's not going with you. Your house is going to be demolished or somebody else is going to be living in it. Mm-hmm. Your car is probably going to be put into a junkyard. Yep. So all of these things are super nice to have now. But because what I find is I speak to people that have all these things and they're still not happy. Mm-hmm. I say, man, you're driving in your Lamborghini to work right now, your business that you own, and you're not happy? It's like, no, man, I got all these different things. My marriage is failing. I haven't seen my kids in 2 years. Yep. They let all of the things that truly matter off to the wayside because they had this business they wanted to build. They had this fame that they wanted people to see. I just started to realize that none of that is worth it.
Well, and the most tragic is the people who sincerely are doing what they're doing for their family. Mm-hmm. And I think it's probably more often men. I'm sure some women do this, but the man who's like, all right, you deserve, to his wife, you deserve the finest things and the best life, and I'm going to work my butt off to make sure you get it. And he works, late nights and weekends and early mornings, and then one day she leaves him, and he's like, I've been doing this for you for all this time, and she's like, I don't feel appreciated, I don't feel loved, I don't feel, and that's not what she wanted. Now sometimes it's because the partner wants everything, and they're like, yeah, I want all the fine things, and I want you here all the time. But which is a whole other issue. But sometimes it's the wife leaves, or maybe the husband leaves, and says, yeah, you've been working really hard for the wrong things that I never wanted.
Like, I just wanted quality time.
Yep.
I just wanted you to be home. Mm-hmm. I just wanted you, but you were working 90 hours, 120 hours a week, whatever it might be. And you thought you were doing everything for me, but you're really pushing me away. Yeah. But communication comes into play then. Because what I find is people don't have communication and people aren't speaking to each other. One thing we started to do, me and Marissa, we started to do like a weekly checkup is like, hey, what did we do good this week? Oh, what did we do bad this week? What do we need to work on? Because we're not perfect. And one thing I told her, I said, if ministry ever takes over our relationship, please let me know. I want to know that, because that means that I'm putting more effort into this than our relationship. Yeah. And that's not what should happen. Man, This was incredible. We went over all kinds of different topics. I'll tell you what. So, Michael, where can people find you? When's your next events coming up? Let me know.
So they can go to summits.fun if they're interested in being a speaker. They can also, if they're interested in me running a summit for them, they can do that there as well. General information can be found at guywhoknowsaguy.com, which I haven't updated in a bit, but you can get basically my story and how to contact me, get on into my email community and whatnot. And the next things coming up are JV Connect on September 10th and 11th at jv-connect.com. And the next summit is the Speaker Success Summit on September 19th. Although there's a bunch of summits, see them all on summits.fun. The one I have not added yet is my favorite, the Entrepreneur Summit.
Entrepreneur.
Yep, Entrepreneur. And yeah, the previous one was Entrepreneur. Was it? Entrepreneur episode 7, The Summit Awakens. And the one in December is Entrepreneur episode 8, The Last Summit. Because there's a certain naming convention that I use. It's not The Last Summit. That just follows the naming convention. First one was episode 4, A New Summit. So the Star Wars fans look at this. If you don't get it,
I'm over here like, what?
Yeah. And if you don't get it, it's still cool. Come and hang out. What's funny is it's a summit for entrepreneurs who are geeks. But 20% of the people who showed up at the last one weren't geeks. They just like the vibe. They're like, geeks are fun. Geeks find the joy in things, in simple things. And I want to hang out with them. So if you like geeky stuff or you just like people who like geeky stuff, that's December 19th. And there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 summits in between. So there's 8 summits between now and the end of the year that you can find at summits.fun.
Wow.
All summits should be .fun.
That's right. You have 8 summits to go. Absolutely incredible. I'm going to see which ones I could join because I do have to get my schoolwork done and my professor's on Facebook. So you might kill me if I don't. But Michael, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for your willingness and openness. You're absolutely incredible. Guys, thank you so much for joining. If you want to subscribe, follow, we would absolutely love that. Until next time,